Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight? Do you feel like you're constantly starting over with your nutrition and fitness? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse, and I too have been there. At the age of 44, I decided I was done with being stuck in the vicious diet cycle. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best Formula for women who are ready to do things differently. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, get your energy back, build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good, then you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's build your formula for feeling your best. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. This is Lil, and I've been on hiatus for the past month. Honestly, I don't think I could have picked a better time to take a little break here because life has been crazy busy. So I hope you've been having a great summer. I hope your August was relaxing, fun. You got out to enjoy the weather, and I know that back to school is right around the corner. For me, literally, my son starts school tomorrow. But today, I wasn't even planning on recording this episode. I was planning on waiting until after Labor Day, until next week. But I just had this whole thing in my head that I wanted to get on here and talk about with you because it's just really at the forefront of my mind. And what happened was back in July, I sent out a survey via my email newsletter. And I asked you guys for feedback. Tell me what you're struggling with. What do you need the most help with? What is holding you back right now from reaching your goals or working towards your goals and getting over those hurdles? And I was struck by how every single response somewhere in that survey, you guys were telling me motivation. Motivation was the problem. You're struggling to get motivated. You're struggling to stay motivated, or you want a coach. You want to hire somebody to motivate you. You think, that's what working with me is going to do. It's going to give you that motivation that you're lacking. And it also really stood out to me that absolutely no one said, I really need a meal plan. I really need more information on macros. I really need more information on workouts. There was nothing in there where you guys were saying it was a knowledge problem. For the vast majority of you, it was more of this mindset problem by feeling that motivation is what is standing between you and the life that you want to live. So if you can relate to this, if you are looking for motivation in some way, shape, or form, I have so many thoughts on this, and we're just going to probably just kind of touch the tip of the iceberg on this episode. But this is why I wanted to hop on. I wanted to talk to you, and this is what we're going to discuss. So first off, you saw in the title here that I have not worked out for 2 weeks. And I always want to be honest with you guys. I don't ever want to give you the perception that I am living this perfect, fitness, nutrition, influencer life. I am just a real person. I am like you. I'm a mom. I'm working. I have family. I have friends, and I'm not a robot. My life, believe it or not, does not revolve around nutrition and fitness. And I know that yours doesn't either. You are not here to dedicate 24/7 to getting a six-pack of abs, to quote, eating perfectly, and obsessing over fitness and nutrition. You are here because you just want to learn how to realistically fit fitness and nutrition into your life, because you know that you need to have this foundation of healthy habits, because the older you get, the more these lifestyle choices start to creep up on you and health problems arise if you've been neglecting your health and your healthy habits for too long. And I know that you're not going to wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden be someone who's spending 2 hours at the gym and, quote, eating clean and all of those things. So just like you, I have these ebbs and flows of sometimes I'm really, quote, dialed in, I'm tracking my food, I'm really working towards a specific goal. And other times, I'm in survival mode. I am just trying to get through the day. I am eating in a way that works for me, where of course I'm still prioritizing the healthy foods. I love salad. I'm trying to have a salad at least once a day. I'm eating my veggies, and generally speaking, I'm eating a nourishing and balanced diet, and there might be some ice cream in there as well. Recently, there's been some Sour Patch Kids, and that is my reality. Again, I'm not here tracking my food every single day. And I went a period of about 2 weeks where I didn't work out in terms of strength training. I still went on some walks because that is where I was at. But I just want to kind of talk about this with you, and this is going to segue into our discussion about motivation. And I'm going to tell you why you're not motivated and why you're struggling to get started and maybe struggling to keep going, even if you have gotten started with certain things. I have the answer for you, and I'm really excited to share that with you. I'm also going to give you a solution, an option for something you can take action on immediately while you're listening to this so that you can get unstuck. So this is what's the kids say? This is a banger. This episode is fire, as my kids would say, because it's got all the things for you. So let me just rewind a little bit with a little life update here, because I haven't been on here in a month. And as I said, it just really worked out. I'm glad that I didn't have to sit down and record an episode. There's been a lot going on here. My oldest went off to college a week ago. So we had our family vacation the last week of July, first week of August. And then pretty much after vacation, a good portion of my time was spent, shopping, looking at the checklists. I mean, I just have to tell you, college now, if you have, younger teens and you're not at the college stuff yet, there is so much parent involvement. I mean, when I went ancient years ago, when I went to college, I just wrote my own essay and filled out the application. I mailed it in, because it was typewritten. We didn't have email or websites or whatever to do it back then. And then I got my acceptance letter in the mail, and then I went off to college. Pretty sure I showed up with a laundry basket, maybe some garbage bags full of clothes and stuff, and I moved in. It was, not this big deal. Now, the parents, you get inundated with download this app and here's your checklist. And oh my gosh, it's just a lot. I really recommend, as you get to that time in your life, put as much of that on your child as you can. They're an adult, they're going off to college, but they do expect a lot more parent involvement than I was expecting. So it's just been a little chaotic with all of that going on. And we finally went and dropped him off, and we're in the Boston area, and he's going to college in Washington, D.C. So that is a fun drive. You get to go through the New York City metro area and all of that. So we did that in 3 days, went down on one day, moved him in, and then came back the next day. So that was really busy. And it's a big transition for the household, physically, emotionally, all those things. And of course, before he left, I wanted to spend as much time with him as possible. We're very close, and I just knew I wanted to get that time in with him before he left. At the same time, about 2 weeks before we were going to be dropping him off, my husband unfortunately ended up in the ER. He's doing okay, but we need to do some more follow-ups and testing, and he might need to have procedures, and we're still kind of figuring that out. So that was a stressor. I made sure that we got medical clearance so that he could come down to DC and that would be safe. But needless to say, that whole thing was an unexpected stressor that we had going on. And then, like I said, we dropped my son off. So while we were in DC, we had left Jade, my dog, with a boarding facility that we've used in the past. And when we picked her up, we actually ended up in the emergency vet at 1 a.m. because she was vomiting and there was blood in the vomit. And, I just thought, oh my gosh, because I haven't been with her. I don't know. Maybe she got into something. What if there was a toxin or a poison? Or what if, another dog had some sort of pathogen that she got exposed to? So yeah, ended up in the vet from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then a lot of follow-up care with her for that, along with an enormous bill, which is fine. She is priceless. We will do anything for her. But that was really stressful dealing with all that. And, she's on a special diet. I'm making her the homemade food. And it ended up, we think she just was extremely stressed out being separated from us, which we haven't had that issue before in the past. But she's gonna be 13 and she's deaf now, and I think that probably added just a lot of stress because she was there for over a week when we went to St. Lucia, and she got a little bit of an upset tummy but wasn't vomiting, and there wasn't like a bloody situation. So anyway, we will not be boarding her, outside the home anymore. We will be figuring things out with friends, family, or hiring a dog sitter. But I just felt terrible that we had left her and she ended up sick, and then, dealing with the aftermath and everything that's required, the medications and everything. The x-ray was clear. My fears were that she had ingested some sort of toxin, or that maybe she had eaten something, but she isn't the type to eat toys or anything like that. So the x-ray said she was clear. They didn't think that she had any other signs of poisoning or anything like that. So best case scenario there. So anyway, life has been stressful. And of course, my younger son is going to be starting school. So, the back to school, the usual for all of that. So bottom line, I have not been sleeping well for over 3 weeks. I have been struggling to create a consistent schedule. There have been various appointments. There have been a need to run around and do things that is just not part of my normal routine. And my normal routine is 4 strength training workouts per week. I've been steady with that for, almost 3 years now. And, the one thing I've really worked on myself, something that I really mentally needed to work on when I started building my formula for feeling my best, is to stop letting people who don't live my life tell me how to live my life. And that includes telling me how many days a week I need to be working out. That toxic messaging of you have to stick to a workout calendar, or you have to do things this way. When someone is telling you that who doesn't know you, has no idea of your medical, history, has no idea of your history with fitness or anything like that, and they're just telling you to do something, you got to walk away from that. I was stuck in that mentality for so long, and those days are behind me. I no longer think I'm going to get fat, which is what I literally used to worry about if I miss a workout, or if I don't work out X numbers number of times per week or follow X program to a T. That is how my brain worked for so long, and my brain doesn't work that way anymore. And what it does when you can move away from that way of thinking and become empowered to understand what works for you is you can let go of that mental burden that exacerbates stressful times when you feel like you're not being perfect and you're not following the plan and I'm supposed to be doing this or that. Instead, you can flip that script and you can say to yourself, what is the best thing that I can do right now that will help me take care of myself? Because that's why you're working out. You're working out to take care of yourself. You're working out today so that 10 years from now, you are not going to trip and fall and break a hip, and then that's going to be the end for you. You don't want that. You want to be strong. You want to make sure that you're moving into the aging process with strength and flexibility and endurance and all those things that are required for long-term health. And what I did is I just said to myself, I know I need rest right now. I am not sleeping, and it's going to be way better for me to rest, go for some walks, walk on my walking pad, maybe do a little workout if I feel like it. But really what I need to do is focus on these situations, all these moving pieces that I have in front of me right now that need my attention, and recognize the fact that this is an acute situation. None of this is forever. My son's going to get off to school just fine. My husband's health issues are going to get taken care of. The dog is going to get better. My younger son is going to go to school. And we just need to get through this messiness, and it's going to be totally okay for me to work out when it is the right time. And listen, I've spent the last 3 years, give or take, I've had a few bumps along the road with broken ankle, and I've built a ton of muscle. It's going to take a lot more than 2 weeks for me to lose the progress that I have made. And the harm I would do to myself mentally if I was beating myself up for not being perfect, not sticking to the plan, it's stupid and not worth it. It's not worth your mental health. So if you're still stuck in this all in or all out mentality where life throws you a curveball and then you just do nothing and you completely throw in the towel, it is that mindset that needs to change. It is the mindset that is your problem. It's time to knock it off and understand that healthy habits, the essence of being healthy, is about flexibility. And when you are rigid, that can be just as harmful to you as doing nothing. So today I did my first strength training workout in 2 weeks. I did a total body workout. I was ready for it. I'm just taking each day as it comes. I'm pretty sure that I'm in a place right now where I can just kind of get back to my usual routine. And I'm definitely not relying on motivation. Okay, so this is where we're going to move into talking about motivation and my message to you about why motivation really isn't your problem. And I totally get why you think it's your problem, but after I share this with you, I think you're going to have a bit of a new perspective. So you think you're lacking motivation, but in reality, what you're lacking is a realistic, approachable plan, a way of doing things that does not feel overwhelming and unattainable. And when we were on vacation, I actually had this really great analogy, this little light bulb moment that popped in my head because I was thinking about all these surveys that were coming in and everyone saying, oh, I need motivation, I struggle with motivation, etc. And what we were doing is we were going on a hike, and we have the spot that we love to hike. It's called Locks Hill. If you're in Guilford, New Hampshire, I highly recommend it. It's a lot easier than Mount Major, and you still get great views of Lake Winnipesaukee. And it's not a super arduous hike, but it's still, it's more complicated than just going for a walk. So let's talk about hiking. What is a hike? Well, it's going for a walk, right? But in a different environment, and more things, more planning, more resources are probably required if you're going to do any sort of, real hike. I'm not talking about a hike where you're just like walking on a quick trail that's flat. We were going up a mountain, and you need to make sure you have water. You need to make sure that you have snacks. If you're bringing an animal with you, you need to bring all of their accessories, a bowl for their water, and you got to plan the bathroom situation. And there's just a lot more required to go on a hike versus going on a walk. I go on a walk pretty much every day. I probably go pee before I leave. I grab Jade's leash and her poop bags, and I grab my earbuds, and we walk out the door, and I'm not worried about it. We're just going on a little hike, on a little walk. And it doesn't require this level of effort that going on a hike requires. And I thought it was such a great analogy as to why so many of you think you're struggling with motivation. But do you see what I'm getting at here? The effort we think healthy habits require determines how much motivation we think we need to actually do the thing. Now, if someone told me I needed to go hiking 5 to 7 days a week to be healthy, I would need a lot of motivation. I would need to plan, you got to drive to the hiking trail, again, packing all the things, planning it within your day. It's a lot of effort, and I think I really need to be motivated if I'm going to commit myself to this, right? But compared to the effort that it takes to go on a walk, which is so feasible, and when you go on a hike, you're kind of pot committed to, if it's a 3-mile loop or whatever. Whereas if you're just going for a walk around your neighborhood, you can kind of just turn around at any point in time. You're not committed to going on, this big long adventure. And the idea of going hiking every day is probably pretty daunting for most of us listening. You might be someone where that is part of your daily routine. And if that's the case, I totally envy you, because that's amazing. But for those of us that live, in the suburbs or the city or whatnot, just going for a walk is probably the best we can do on a daily basis. And when we think about healthy habits, there is so much going on with diet culture and Instagram influencers where people are telling you that you need to do the hike in order to be healthy. And this is the analogy where they're telling you that you can't eat your favorite foods, that you have to take a buttload of supplements every day, that you have to follow some restrictive diet, that you have to eat organic, that you can never eat carbs, or you have to eat some insane amount of vegetables, drink massive amounts of water. The list goes on and on and on of the ways that healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle have been so overcomplicated to the point that it feels unattainable. It feels unattainable to you. You're working 40 hours a week, which we know is more than 40 hours a week. You've got your kids' activities. You've got family, you've got friends, you want to have fun, right? And that fun that you're having, you sometimes feel guilty about it because you're thinking, I shouldn't be eating this food, I shouldn't be drinking this wine, I shouldn't be sleeping in. And your head is just full of all these things that you feel like you should be doing, but you're not doing, but it feels too hard because, again, you think that you have to go on the hike, when in reality, you can go on the walk. And that's what I do as a coach. I teach you how to build healthy habits that are just as easy as going for a walk. Yeah, they're going to take effort. They're going to take planning. You got to set aside, you got to change your life. You can't keep doing the same things you're doing and create change. You have to make changes, but it doesn't have to be this big, overly complicated, time-consuming thing. And quite often, it's the front end of things when you are learning, when you are building the habits, when you're understanding the process. Yeah, that's where you got to be dialed in. You got to be focused. You got to be ready to put the effort in. But then you can get to the point like where I am, where, okay, I took 2 weeks off. I know I don't have to think about what I want to do. I just need to get back to it. And I don't feel bad about missing 2 weeks of workouts, and it's all good. And I don't need to be motivated to get back to it because it honestly feels pretty easy. Now, if your life is constantly in a state of chaos, then, you got to figure that out. You got to figure out how to actually take care of yourself, put yourself first, remove yourself from whatever situations are causing that in your life, where your day-to-day life looks the way that my life looked, for like a 2 to 3 week period. And I've been, if you go back and listen to the beginning of the episode, I talk about where, this all stems from, because I did find myself in that place in my life. And building the habits that are reasonable and attainable and that you can feel good about, and you can let go of this idea of I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. And instead, you realize I am doing what is best for me. And always remembering that doing something is better than doing nothing. But because everything's been overcomplicated, it just feels safer to do nothing and not even try, because why am I going to try? Obviously, I'm going to fail. If what I need to do is that level of, effort and complication of going on the hike every day versus going on the walk, then there is no expectation that I'm actually going to succeed with that. Might give it good old college try for a few weeks, might be successful at it for a little bit of time. But the only way you're going to be successful is when it feels like the walk. And sometimes you need to walk before you run, Sometimes you can start with the most basic of habits and then build on it. And that is how you learn about yourself and connect with what really works for you. So I hope this all makes sense to you, but understanding the fact that you don't need motivation when things are not complicated, but you do need to what you really need to understand more than the motivation is you just need to have the understanding of how to build a fitness and nutrition plan that's going to work for you and your life. And that's exactly what I do with my one-to-one coaching clients, is they build their formula for feeling their best. And I'm the guide in that process. And I understand, you tell me what your life looks like, and I assure you that what you're doing is going to move you in the direction you want to go. Because if you're trying to do things on your own and figure it out, and you're following these plans that were made by someone who doesn't know you, and you're having a hard time sticking to it, then you just feel like a failure. And it just does not give you the support and the confidence that you need to keep moving in the direction that you want to go. Okay, and this is where my new free mini podcast series comes in. Okay, I told you I have the thing you can do, the action you can take so that you can start doing the things without needing a ton of motivation. If you listen to my episode 83 with Emily Reamer, then she's amazing. That's one of my most popular episodes, and she's a burnout recovery coach. She's amazing. And after we recorded that episode, we just realized that our clients have so much in common and are looking of so much of the same things, especially when it comes to getting started, to getting unstuck. So we decided to put together a resource for those of you who are ready to get unstuck. So we have this incredible 6-episode. So it's just 6 episodes of a mini podcast series You can download it right to your Apple Podcasts, or you can listen to it, through the browser, whatever you want to do. But it's titled Fresh Start After 40. And we interviewed experts on fitness, fashion, really, really fun one, because fashion is so important for feeling good about ourselves. Sober living, if you have been questioning your alcohol consumption, thinking, maybe this is something you want to cut back on or eliminate, we have an episode in there for you by a sober living coach, and she's amazing. And we have a life coach to help you, maybe if you're coming out of a relationship or divorce. And also, I obviously talk about nutrition, and Emily's going to talk about stress management. And this is where you can just find a hefty dose of motivation. And every expert has put together a free resource for you to help you get started with new healthy habits. All you have to do is find the link below in the episode details, and the link will be live from now through the end of Labor Day weekend here in the US. That's, I think, September 4th or something like that. I know that some of you are overseas. So you just register and you immediately get the link, and you can listen to the podcast right away. And that right there, if you're struggling with motivation, I'm giving you solutions here. I'm hopefully helping you think of things differently, because if you constantly think that you need motivation, you're never going to do anything. You are just going to be stuck in that place. So right now, I need you to eliminate that. I need motivation. I'm not motivated. I need someone to motivate me. You're not allowed to think those things anymore. Instead, it's time to take action. And action is how we build confidence, when we start moving the needle. And you can do that right now by going and grabbing the link to that mini podcast series. And if there's one thing I would love for you to take away from that series, it's that it doesn't have to be complicated. You can take things one step at a time. And instead of looking for motivation, look for reasonable and attainable solutions. Look for that first step. That's what our experts have for you on this podcast series. They're telling you the very first thing that you can do to start making that change that you desire. It doesn't have to be that hard, and you can get unstuck. You just need to take action. All right, so don't forget to grab your instant access to that podcast series right now. Forget motivation. It's time to take action. I really hope that this episode was valuable to you. I'm so glad to be back here, and it just felt really serendipitous that kind of the things in my personal life, I just felt I have to come on here and share it with you guys. I missed coming on here. As busy as I was, I am eager to get back to it. And, you can always send me, there's like that send a little text message or something like that button there. So if you ever have questions or anything, but go grab that free mini podcast series. Think about what we talked here today, and I will see you back here next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you enjoyed the information and discussion we had here today, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're serious about making changes with your nutrition and fitness, then you definitely want to join my weekly newsletter list as well. You can find the link below and more information in the episode details. That's all for today, and we will see you back here next week for a new episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast.